Freaking believable. What's up, everybody? Fred Richani, TSC, here to recap UFC 254. Gaethje, Khabib, from top to bottom, also the latest MMA news. But there's no bigger MMA news to discuss than maybe, just maybe, the greatest fighter of all time, certainly one of the greatest. Khabib Nurmagomedov not only retained his UFC lightweight championship in complete domination, arm triangle, submission, choked out Justin Gaethje in round number 2. Referee missed like 2 to 4 taps, which is crazy. Thank God Gaethje's okay. That was wild to begin with because Khabib dominated his toughest challenge to date. But then came after the fight when he broke down crying. Understandably so. He recently just lost his father. His father had COVID-19, died of complications from the virus. Very young, too. I think he was like 57 years old. So, I mean, just a mentor to him and his team. And he broke down crying, talked about how he promised his mother that this would be his last fight. And he honors her word. Took off the gloves, said he's done. He said he just wants to be recognized as the pound for pound greatest fighter of all time, or at least pound for pound right now, number one. Certainly, I think he's one of the greatest fighters of all time. If you're talking about a guy who has never tested positive for anything, who has always come out clean, who has dominated in his respective weight class, I mean, he's certainly up there. Now, some people may say, okay, maybe GSP, because, GSP won 2 titles in 2 different weight classes. Conor's obviously up there. Anderson Silva at his peak, although, again, he's tested positive in the past. Some people may say that mars him. John Jones, obviously, maybe the most talented fighter we've ever seen, but, again, he's got that unfortunate red mark with all the USADA stuff. So if you're talking about a guy that, as far as his record is unscathed, there's no real controversy or anything in his respective weight class, 29-0, Khabib Nurmagomedov, man, I mean, unbelievable. I think definitely at this point you could say the best lightweight of all time, without a doubt. The guy beat Poirier. The guy beat Conor. The guy beat Gaethje. What else can you say? Honestly, what else can you say? I mean, lightweight division historically has been maybe the most competitive, dangerous division in the UFC for well over a decade. And, I mean, man, what can you say other than bravo to Khabib? Did an absolutely phenomenal job in the fight. Took some shots from Gaethje, but eventually got him down. And, it's just crazy. I mean, Gaethje is, for people that aren't familiar with Gaethje or maybe are only familiar with him from the Tony Ferguson fight, I mean, I was actually there live in attendance for his World Series of Fighting / PFL debut in Atlantic City. And I remember, nobody knew who the hell this guy was, and he looked phenomenal. He went on an absolute tear in WSOF, went to UFC, went on an absolute tear. Stumbled a bit, because he got a little reckless, especially in that Eddie Alvarez fight, but he cleaned up, some of the holes in his game, and he looked great against Tony Ferguson, let's keep it real here. Other than Khabib, Tony Ferguson might be the greatest lightweight in UFC history, at least in recent UFC history. I mean, obviously, Gaethje certainly belongs in that conversation too. But, wow. Just, wow. And, my heart breaks for Khabib because obviously it's very depressing. It's been a depressing year for a lot of people. And, for him to be one of just many millions of people that have lost loved ones due to this horrible virus and everything, it's heartbreaking. It really is. And you feel for the guy. But, you also got to respect the guy for keeping his word, for honoring his father's legacy, and, for being humble and just saying, look, Justin Gaethje's a great fighter. I beat all these guys, but it's time for me to go. And I believe him. I really do. I don't think he's a guy that's really motivated by money. Look, obviously, you put enough zeros in front of a guy, eventually they're going to blink. And maybe, just maybe, GSP and a lot of money could lure Khabib to one more fight to possibly get that perfect 30-0 record. And maybe they do that fight at 165, 170. I don't know. Maybe GSP freaking cuts down. I don't know. It seemed like that was the fight he wanted for a long time. And, for whatever reason, Dana White didn't make it happen, probably because he didn't feel like paying GSP, unfortunately. So what can you say? What can you say other than an incredible legacy for Khabib Nurmagomedov? If this is it for the Eagle, I mean, my God, what a legacy. What a legacy. I got nothing but respect. So the official result is Khabib Nurmagomedov via triangle choke, technical submission, round number 2. Bravo, Khabib, but whew, there's a lot going on still, folks. There's a lot going on because not only did we have this fight, which was a hell of a fight while it lasted as far as just the intrigue and everything, but ended up being complete domination for Khabib, but we had a really good co-main event. At least I thought it was really good. Robert Whittaker defeated Jared Cannonier via unanimous decision. One of the rare fights we get where it's number 1 versus number 2, and the winner should, I repeat, should be the clear-cut number 1 contender for the title. Robert Whittaker got the win. Cannonier was coming on strong at the end of round number 3, but Whittaker tied him up, against the cage, avoided the danger, got the win. And I got to say, I mean, Robert Whittaker is already a champion. He's already been through a lot of wars, but he has looked hella improved these last couple of fights. The Darren Till fight, I was legitimately worried about the guy because he just hasn't seemed like himself, and obviously he went through a lot of health issues. There were rumors his daughter had health issues, and seems like everything, thank God, is good on his end. But he looked really good against Darren Till in a win he definitely needed. And here, I mean, he looked like a championship contender and like a former champion. But this is the thing. Do you do Robert Whittaker versus Izzy Adesanya, or do you pay Izzy and John Jones stacks of money to do a super fight? If I were UFC, I would strike the iron while it's hot, do John Jones versus Izzy. At the same time, either fight, whether it be Izzy versus Whittaker 2 or Izzy versus John Jones, there's a pandemic, obviously, but I feel like I would like to save those fights if there can be some semblance of a crowd. Some semblance. I'm not saying a lot, but if they could do like limited capacity like some of these NFL teams, I think that would be ideal in like a stadium or something. But, I mean, we'll see. You got options for UFC. You really do. I think Izzy and Whittaker will be better served in the Australian market, somewhere in New Zealand. Again, if, big if, they can run in front of at least some semblance of a crowd. If not, Go with John Jones, man. I think that's the fight to make. But look, UFC's hot right now. UFC's hot, but it does hurt that they lose Khabib. I know some people don't think of him as big of a star as Conor McGregor. You don't see him in commercials all the time, but I mean, the dude is, other than Mo Salah's, he's the biggest Muslim star in the world. Obviously he's got the Eastern European connection, and they love their MMA. I know plenty of Eastern Europeans, and yeah, I mean, he's a massive star. For him to retire, that is a big blow to UFC. That doesn't mean they can't create more stars. And let's just say Dustin Poirier gets an upset win over Conor McGregor. I believe they're fighting in January. Hey, you never know. You could elevate Dustin Poirier, but I don't know, man. Khabibs don't grow on trees. It's definitely going to be hard to replace him from a skill standpoint and absolutely from a star standpoint. But Robert Whittaker got the win there. Alexander Volkov defeated Walt Harris via second round TKO. Vicious kick to the body. I mean, that was a body kick from hell. Just crumbled Walt Harris. I feel real bad for the guy. I know there's no real easy fights in the UFC and everything else, but man, I really wish they would give him like a squash match or something. This guy went through hell. If you don't know, his poor daughter was kidnapped and murdered late last year. The guy's his family have just, again, been through hell. And you can't fix fights, obviously, but, just throw him a bone. Throw him somebody outside of the top 10. Let him get his confidence back. It's just heartbreaking to see. But, look, it's MMA. It's ruthless. It's unforgiving. Stuff happens. Philip Hawes looked great. Middleweight is a middleweight matchup. Philip Hawes knocked out Jacob Malkoun in 18 seconds. Hell of a fight while it lasted as far as for Hawes. That was really good. Lauren Murphy defeated newcomer Lilia Shakirova. She replaced Cynthia Calvillo, who tested positive for the virus, so speedy recovery to her. She won via rear naked choke in round number 2. Fourth straight fight, her first submission win. I love the promo she cut. She talked about how she's won 4 straight, got her first submission win, has 2 finishes out of 4 fights. She has the longest win streak in the division, and she wants her title shot. And the next time she fights, it's going to be for the title. I loved it. You always hear these fighters, oh, just put who's in front of me and blah, blah, blah. And, oh, let Joe Silva or Sean Shelby or Mick Maynard make the fights. Like, stop it. Stop it. Call your shot. Even if you don't think you're ready for like a champion or a contender, like call somebody. Call somebody at your level or that he thinks at your level. Something. Make it happen. It's cool to be nice and all that crap, but you're going to get punched in the face anyway, whether you're nice to the person or not. So why not call it out, build some hype, make some extra money. So well done to Lauren Murphy. She did great. And then we had the rematch. Magomed Ankalaev defeated Ion Cutelaba via knockout. Vicious knockout. Awesome fight. There was some controversy in the first fight where it seemed it was a premature stoppage via TKO. Not this time for Ankalaev, so he got the win there. And then on the prelims, what can I say about Stefan Struve? I mean, from just a physical standpoint, 10 years ago, this guy should have developed into a title contender. And instead, he got knocked out here at the end of round number 1. Tai Tuivasa gets the win. No shoey, though, because, COVID protocols and everything. But nice win for him. Rough going for Stefan Struve. He's had some real bad luck, especially since coming back and unretiring. Casey Kenny defeated Nathaniel Wood via unanimous decision. This was a really good fight. We had Shavkat Rakhmonov defeat Cowboy Alex Oliveira via guillotine choke in round number 1. Huge win over a UFC veteran. Huge win. Really impressive here. I missed this fight, but I saw some highlights. Daun Jung and Sam Alvey fought to a split draw. In the flyweight division, Miranda Maverick defeated Liana Jojua via first-round TKO, doctor stoppage at the end of round number 1. And we had Joel Alvarez defeat Alexander Yakovlev via armbar in round number 1. So overall, I mean, a lot of finishes here. A lot of finishes. And if you look at the main card, since, obviously that's the part that everybody pays for on ESPN Plus or wherever you're ordering it. I mean, finish in the main event. Finish in the middleweight bout. Finish in the flyweight bout. Finish in the opener. So, I mean, that's a whole lot of finishes right there. So, overall, I got to give this pay-per-view a thumbs up. Obviously, I think most of us were expecting a more competitive fight with Gaethje and Khabib, and the odds were shifting here and there. But, look, it's Khabib, man. He's going to make everybody look bad. As for what's coming up next week we have Uriah Hall versus Anderson Silva. Anderson claims this is his last fight. I'm not going to lie. I'm still kind of bitter at UFC for not booking Anderson Silva, even an older Silva versus an older GSP. I think they really dropped the ball his last 2 or 3 fights. The Izzy Adesanya fight was a nice, fun fight, and actually he looked better than a lot of middleweights have against Izzy. So shout out to the Spider there. But look, say what you want about some of the the past USADA stuff. Like, he's still a legend. He's a guy who's made the UFC a lot of money, helped them grow in Brazil. And, this is a nice kind of dream fight between Uriah Hall and Anderson Silva. But looking back, I mean, for them to book him against Jared Cannonier, and I think they booked him once against Derek Brunson, like, I don't know. I think sometimes they got to take the Bellator, DDB route. Like, book these legends against other legends or some more dream fights. But look, it is what it is. What's happened has already happened. And Uriah Hall versus Anderson Silva, I think, is a fun retirement fight for him. Well, it might be fun unless he gets knocked out. We also have another fight night coming up the following week. Hopefully, this doesn't get cursed again because there were all kinds of scares of COVID-19, and this has been rescheduled multiple times due to injuries, all that jazz. November 7th, Thiago Santos, Glover Teixeira. This should determine the new number 1 contender for Jan Blachowicz. So he's obviously the new light heavyweight champion. Scored what some people call the mild upset over Dominic Reyes. And he could fight the winner of Santos versus Teixeira. I mean, all these guys have a legitimate case, so we'll find out here. I mean, some people think Santos beat John Jones. Teixeira, 40 years old, looking phenomenal. I hope I can look half as good at 40. And then after that, we have a few other fights coming up. And then the next pay-per-view is going to be on November 21st in Las Vegas. It's going to be Figueiredo against Alex Perez for the flyweight championship, and Valentina Shevchenko taking on Jennifer Maia for the women's flyweight championship. Not a great-looking card. I mean, Robbie Lawler and Mike Perry's on there. I wouldn't be booking Mike Perry right now if you read the MMA Junkie story on domestic violence. And even then, just in general, the dude seems to have some real issues, and I don't know if putting him in a fight where he's going to get brain damage is going to help. Jose Aldo and Marlon Vera are on that card as of right now. You also have Mauricio Shogun Rua fighting Paul Craig. So you have some names on there, but nothing that's going to get the average fan excited, or even kind of like the hardcore fan excited as far as ordering this pay-per-view. This is definitely one of the weakest pay-per-views in the ESPN Plus era, for a while, at least the COVID era of ESPN Plus and UFC. But hey, that happens sometimes. You can't always have some hits. And then UFC 256, we still don't have a lot announced for this pay-per-view. That's the final pay-per-view of 2020, December 12th. As of right now, it's Megan Anderson versus Amanda Nunes for the featherweight championship, which, again, not a great marquee fight, and I think Amanda should dominate her. And, yeah, I mean, look, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe they'll do Jorge Masvidal versus Colby Covington. I mean, both guys have been trying to kiss the president's ass and get brownie points, so maybe they'll fight for his love or something. I don't know. Actually, Peter Yan versus Aljamain Sterling is also on that card. Forgot about that. So That fight I'm actually pretty intrigued with, but I'm wondering if they will put Jorge Masvidal and Colby on that card. Either both guys against each other or a combination. And in a few weeks, Hamza Chimaev fighting Leon Edwards. I feel like that's a massive, massive, massive step up for. I feel like that's just a massive step up for Chimaev, but also a very risky fight for Leon Edwards. So that's gonna be wild. I don't know. Honestly, it could go either way. I mean, Chimaev could be stepping up way too fast, way too soon, or Leon Edwards could be taking a massive risk and you could lose that number 3 ranking right away, which is crazy. Can't remember a guy getting fast-tracked like this, but hey, he looks good so far. So let's go to some of the comments. I'm telling you, after retirement, McGregor is the new champion. I think McGregor right now kind of needs to get his ish together. I mean, yeah, I know he's fighting Poirier, but he's got a lot of legal issues. There's some other stuff going on, I'm sure. Well, we'll see what happens with him. Gaethje was genuinely stupefied by Khabib's strength. Funny how everyone who fought Khabib said the same thing. Yeah, Kazar Ahmed, I agree with you. I totally agree. Filthmonger, no way Khabib stays retired. I don't know, man. He's a very religious man. He's very family-oriented. But again, as I mentioned before, if you put enough zeros in front of a man with that paycheck, obviously you got to put another number before that. It may convince him to come back again, especially if you could book that GSP fight. If it's against Conor again, I don't see him coming back for that. If it's against Poirier again, no, hell no, I don't think so. But if it is against GSP, for sure. Tony Ferguson never had a chance. Well, MMA math doesn't always work out that way, but Khabib math seems to. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Is he really okay? He's really retired. He knows he can't beat McGregor a second time. I'm gonna put this user in timeout because they're using some very foul language to describe Khabib here. Khabib beat Conor fair and freaking square. Stop it. He beat him once. He'd most likely beat him again. That's that. There you go. Enough already. And nothing against Conor. I'm just saying. He beat him. Munira Hashim, no one can go against Khabib. He's the GOAT. Who do you think wins the light heavyweight championship? I think Blachowicz has a good chance of keeping it for a while, unless they do Blachowicz versus John Jones or Izzy moves up. Okay, let's see what we got here. I knew it was going to go like this. Gaethje had a bad style. Only good style against Khabib is Tony Ferguson. You know what? The MMA purist in me really would have loved to have seen that fight. I really would have loved to have seen that fight. And even coming off of a loss, I still would have loved to have seen that fight. So it's unfortunate. Some people are saying Justin's trash. No, Justin's not trash. A majority of the guys that Khabib fought are not trash, okay? When you're a great fighter and you fight the best of all time, sometimes you're going to look like trash. It sounds like one of those casual fans. It's like all those garbage because you lost in 13 seconds to Conor. Like, come on. Stop it. Don't make excuses here. Styles make fights. And again, when you go up against the GOAT, crap happens and usually not in your favor. So that's all I got to say about that. Fred, what do you think about them rescheduling Gilbert Burns versus Kamaru Usman later in in early 2021? Yeah, they were supposed to fight, I think, this coming month or the end of the year, and they rescheduled it. Look, Gilbert Burns is obviously the true number 1 contender, I think. Now, if there's some strange circumstance where Colby and Masvidal fight and the winner happens to be ready before maybe Gilbert Burns, I don't know how that would work out, but you never know. Look, if logistically and fairly to the winner of Covington versus Masvidal, you could book one of them versus Usman in a rematch, I'd probably do that over Gilbert Burns. That's from a marquee standpoint. From a pure contender standpoint, yeah, it would make sense to still do Gilbert Burns versus Kamaru Usman. Plus, they used to train together. So just from, a hardcore MMA's perspective, I know not a lot of people really, or feel for Gilbert Burns one way or another. I would actually like to see that fight. I think it's definitely very intriguing. But, I understand why some people wouldn't. And, so overall, what can I say? Hell of a night for the UFC, or I guess hell of an afternoon and evening if you're talking about the East Coast. Congratulations to Khabib Nurmagomedov on a hell of a career. And somebody's asking here real quick, who would I see winning the lightweight title? Oh, actually, I didn't even think about this. If Conor and Dustin are going to fight at lightweight. And the last time I checked, they were going to fight at welterweight. Assuming they fight at lightweight, you just make that fight for the vacant lightweight title. There you go. Problem solved. After that, I don't know. I really don't know. You know what? Let's look up, before I go here, let's look up top 10 lightweight rankings, UFC. I'd really like to get Ferguson back in the mix, but the problem with Ferguson is that, he's having some contract. It sounds like he's having some contract issues with the UFC because even though UFC is making God knows how much money right now, they're still being very cheap with their fighters. So hopefully Tony can come back and he could get a good payday. Let's see. Charles Oliveira, Paul Felder, Quinta, Kevin Lee's at number 10. Yeah. I don't know. I think logically it has to be Conor versus Poirier for the interim title, or not the interim title, the vacant title at this point. And maybe have Tony Ferguson and Michael Chandler as a backup. Actually, I should mention too, Michael Chandler, the Bellator legend, the former champ, he made, I guess, his UFC on-screen debut during UFC 254, talked about how he's ready to step in and fight in the deep waters of the lightweight division. I think he's been one of the best fighters in that division over the years, and I'm very happy for him. Met him a few times. It's crazy. I've covered Michael Chandler's fights live for over 10 years now. I feel old as hell, but it's great to see his development. And yeah, look, he lost to Patricio Pitbull in Bellator. A lot of people have lost to Patricio Pitbull, so no shame there. I think he'll do very well. I think for me, the key is I think skills-wise, everything else, like, conditioning, he's absolutely a top 10 UFC lightweight, and I think he can hang. The key is, how's his chin going to hold up after being in a lot of wars over the last decade in Bellator? So we will see, but I wish him the very best. So I don't know. I would like to see, I guess, Poirier versus Conor for the vacant lightweight title, and then maybe you book Michael Chandler versus Tony Ferguson if you get those contract mumbo-jumbo out of the way and straightened out, and then from there, the winners of those fights will fight each other. We'll see. But folks, I'm going to get out of here. If you enjoyed this recap, please like, share. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. We'll be having live pre- and post-fight coverage of Bellator MMA coming up this week. And obviously, we got you covered when it comes to UFC. So until next time, everybody, as always, enjoy the fights. And again, congrats to Khabib on a phenomenal, legendary, one-of-a-kind career.